Hello again, or if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Siobhan. We're going to be doing a first impression of the Natasha Denona Love Palette. This is one of the midi size palettes. So these pans are a little bit smaller than her traditional size. And there she is in all of her beauty and glory. This shade right here in the middle is the shade Commitment, and that shade is what most drew me to this palette. This palette is very like Valentine's Day inspired, which makes sense. It's going to be available in stores on February 4th, so right around that Valentine's Day holiday. And we do see a lot of sort of red and pinks coming out right now, but this one also has, so on this side here, we have all of the like reds and pinks, and then this side is very purples and then sort of like meshes together in the middle. I think it's a really nice combination of colors, and it is nice to start seeing some of the cool tones. I am going to do swatches on this arm. If you've been here before to see me swatch, you know that it is not my strong suit, but we are gonna do our best. Oh, these are very, very soft so far on the one that I've touched. The first shade is called First. This is probably not going to show up on me because it is basically my skin tone. The next shade is more of like a metallic. This is called Lifetime. Where did I? Okay. Very pretty, very shiny. Next is Heartbeat. Sort of a brick red color. I'm going to go over that again. I do swatch very, very softly. I'm not a big fan of like having to force shades down because I'm not going to do that on my eyes. This one is called Transparent. This one here. So this one's more peachy and a little bit deeper. This one's more pink. And then the last shade on that top row is called Trust. And going on to the next row, this is Heart, which is a really pretty, just like true red. Next is Giving. This one is very sparkly, and it is an orange pink duochrome. Next we have Pure Love, and this one is sort of like a purple pink duochrome. Oh, and much deeper on my skin tone than what it looks in the pan. And then last, this is Commitment. This is just a really like deep purple eggplant shade, which is beautiful. I'm gonna just go above, and this is the last shade in that row. This is called Blind, and it's a very pretty like silver violet duochrome. Gorgeous. Next we have Soul, which is a peachy matte. Next is Passion. They're just getting worse and worse as I go. Passion is like a nice brick red shimmer. And next we have Intense, which is a very like just beautiful peachy shade. This one is Valentine. It is a very pale pink. Oh, much more pale looking in the pan than it is on, again, my very pale skin. And then our very last shade here, which is this gorgeous purple, is Dream, which, opposite of some of those other colors on my skin tone, is much more of like a lavender shade. So there are the swatches. Very, very pretty color story. So I'm just going to go ahead and prime my eyes. I have already done my base and my eyebrows. If you're interested in finding out about that, I'll put the playlist up here somewhere. I'll put in a card. But it's part of my foundation declutter series that I'm doing. And it is the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Lines. So this is the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly, just to give me a nice smooth canvas. I've been using the ABH eye primer instead of my MAC paint pots, and it definitely makes my base darker. And I don't think I've used it since like the middle of summer. So I also am super extra, like as pale as I can get right now. I'm going to start out by just setting that down with the shade First. These do have a little bit of kick up. At least this shade does so far. This is the Betty Boop brush from Ipsy. I just grabbed a large fluffy brush to set this down. For my brushes, for my eyes, I am going to be using strictly Rephr brushes. And it's just, they're really, really nice brushes. And they're all clean. There's not going to be any sort of cross-contamination with other products. It's going to be 100% from this palette. And I really want to use Commitment and Blind. So, how am I going to make that work? I'm going to start out by just putting Soul down in the crease. This is the number 15 brush. It does have just a little bit of kick up. Very pigmented. This shade is deeper than I expected it to be. Very pretty. It's going to be really nice for blending out that red. I'm going to zoom in just a tiny bit. But since I am not going for a look with that red right now, maybe not necessarily the best shade for me to have chosen. I am surprised at how pigmented, even like how dark on my skin, even these sort of pastel shades look. And I think that that's going to be really nice. Like, this palette is going to be a very versatile palette for lots of different skin tones, which is nice. I think that that is something that Natasha Denona seems to do fairly well, is be able to cater to a fairly wide audience, which you would sort of expect. She is a makeup artist, so she should be good at that. All right, so I'm going to go into Commitment. This is the number 13 brush. This is just a really teeny tiny little blender brush, which if you have small eyes, this brush is like my favorite that I have in all of my brushes. I'm just gonna sort of tap that on the outer V. I'm definitely getting a little bit of fallout already. And this is like a satin formula in this shade. It looks much more shimmery. Like it looked like it was going to maybe be a shimmer when I was looking at pictures of this palette. It's laying down pretty nice. It's a tiny bit patchy. Gonna see how it blends into that Soul shade. They blend together nicely. But yeah, I don't know if you can see that, like just a little bit patchy right here. So we'll see if that continues. Go ahead and match this eye up. So this side seemed to be less patchy, but more fallout. I'm going to go ahead and use Trust for the inner portion, and I'm going to do this kind of like a spotlight eye. So far this shade seems to be going on all right. So I'm going to take the number 16, which is just a big fluffy brush, and I'm just going to blend out all of these edges and make this a softer look. Partly because I just want to see how this blends. Because right now there does still seem to be a fairly harsh line between these two, which I wouldn't expect since I did set my primer. So I just went back into first. I'm just again trying to not have a harsh line here and get more of a gradient. It took a little bit of work, but I got there. And then I'm just gonna go back in with Trust and just fix up this inner third before I put blind down. So blind in the pan almost just looks silver. I'm gonna try to use this brush for it. I am also going to put down just a tiny bit of glitter glue. This is the Too Faced glitter glue, just right there in the middle, just to give this a chance of lasting as long as possible. And then this is just a synthetic brush. This is not a rougher brush, just because I have my number 2 brush is the brush I would want to use to do this, and it is dirty. But I'm going to go into blind and see how this picks up with a brush and see if I have to use my finger. No, that picked up really nicely with a brush. That shade worked out like a dream. That is gorgeous. And I'm just gonna use my brush to make sure that I've blended in those edges really nicely. Yeah, that is super pretty. So that just like brought everything together. I'm using Heartbeat underneath my lash line, and I'm going to be doing this as a halo eye actually, because I want to use as many shades as possible. So I'm not going to be mimicking what is on the top on the bottom. I'm going to go from Heartbeat into Intense, which is that very pinky shade. To finish it off, I'm just going to use Valentine, which is that very pale pink. Those made a gorgeous gradient on my lower lash line. Beautiful. Now, there doesn't seem to be a lot of creasing, which is always sort of a first thing I look for since I have hooded eyes, because if I do something like this and then it all creases in the middle, it just ends up looking real bad. No, it's way too. Not recommending using things for things other than what they're meant to be, but this is a Wet n Wild gel lip liner in the shade Don't Be a Prune. I'm going to use that in my waterline. For my eyeliner, I'm going to use this liquid liner. This is by JD Glow in the shade Rule Number 1. For my highlighter, this is the Laura Geller Diamond Dust Baked Gelato Swirl. And when I chose this one, it was because it was very pinky, and I thought I was going to be doing a more pink. Thought I was going to be doing a look that leaned more pink, but I think this is still going to be really nice, and it'll bring out some of those pink tones that are in there. This highlighter is so incredibly like crazy blinding. It's beautiful. As usual, for my contour, I'm going to be using the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow. For blush, I'm going to be using this one here. This is from the Real Her Be Fearless, Be Limitless blush kit. And that is the shade Fearless. Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in black. My first impression of these eyeshadows, they're very pretty. They take a little bit of work to blend, but that might have also been my MAC paint pot. Like I said, I haven't used it in like 6 months, and it seemed a little darker, so maybe it's just getting old. They did end up blending very nicely. I'm gonna do a 1 palette 3 looks, and since I'm doing a foundation wear test, I can't film that today, so I would expect that to probably be up either Sunday or Monday. I am gonna try and get it up before this is available in store, so that if you're planning on going in store to get it, you're able to see more options, maybe get a little more of an idea of how this goes. I'll also talk about the wear time in that video. The foundation wear test video will show what this looks like throughout the day, but it's not going to go up until well after this is already available in stores. So I don't expect anyone to wait for that video to come along. If you have any questions about the palette, feel free to leave them down in the comments. If you like these types of videos, feel free to give this a thumbs up. Doing things like comments and thumbs up really helps for smaller channels, because it means that YouTube will kind of put us out there and give us a wider view. So if you like it, then like it. I would love to have you stick around, so if you wouldn't mind subscribing. This whole part is just awkward. This is not natural. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like. If you want to see more of my videos, subscribe. I always feel weird asking, so that's that. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. Bye.